Neverending Chain by Dragon Translator. Chapter 174. More questions than answers. Gyda stood, moving around Stormfly, who sat at Shadowfire's tail. She returned, carrying a brown journal that looked better made than the ones Hiccup used, and the ones he made for fish legs. She sat back down beside Astrid, opening the book. Hiccup saw her take a deep breath, running her fingers slowly over the page before flipping through the book. She paused, and Hiccup frowned at the slight tremor he saw in her hand as she gripped something folded out of the book. The journal dropped onto her lap, and the folded parchment hung in her fingers, with her just staring at it. "Gyda?" Astrid began softly. "Dad." Gyda closed her eyes and lowered her head. "Dad's journal," she whispered. "He made me promise not to open it until I met Wings of Onyx." Hiccup's gaze snapped to Onyx Wing, and then back to Gyda. "You think he is who your father was talking about?" In answer, Gyda turned the parchment so Hiccup could see the front of the folded flap. He gasped. A drawing of Onyx Wing, standing with his back scale slit, and Sunburn, watching him with a bemused expression, done in the same brown-coloured lines, stared out from him from a yellowed background. "What's it say?" Hiccup shot a glare at Snotlout, sitting near Shadowfire's left paw. That was Gyda's personal thing. They had no right to its contents. He would not deny he was curious, though. How had Gyda's father known they would meet this Night Fury and his razor-whip friend? A rustle had him looking back, and finding Gyda had unfolded the parchment. Silence fell as she began reading. Hiccup saw both of her hands begin to shake, but this time the look on her face said she was suppressing anger, and not sadness. "Gyda?" Hiccup asked. "He knew," she whispered harshly. "Hey, Umbra, Nana, they all knew, and they all lied to me." "Knew what?" Astrid asked. "Lied about what?" Gyda faced her, and Hiccup swallowed at the hollowed look in the mage's eyes. "They knew I would be asked by your gods to give that message. They knew I would host you all in my cave. They knew I would come to live here. They lied to me!" Astrid reached out, clamping hands on either side of Gyda's shoulders. "Sensei," she said, purposefully adopting the tone of voice Hiccup hoped would reach their friend. "Help us understand." Gyda closed her eyes and shook herself, also shaking Astrid's hands off. Hiccup watched her take several deep breaths, and then look back down at the parchment. "Baby girl," she began reading, her voice taut and lacking the warmth Hiccup had come to know. "If you are reading this, you have met Onyx Wing. I know things seem unclear right now. Know if I could have prevented what had to happen, I would. If things could have been different, I would have gladly accepted that fate instead of the one you find yourself in. Also know that I love..." Gyda's voice became clogged and faded into silence. Hiccup saw her swallow several times, and saw tears fall from her eyes. Before he could think of a way to scoot over to the mage without disturbing his nephew, Astrid moved. His queen, his smart and beautiful queen, placed her arm around Gyda's shoulders and placed her cheek against the mage's upper arm. "We're here," Astrid whispered. Hiccup saw Gyda shudder and her head fell upon until it was resting on top of Astrid's. "Thank you," Gyda whispered, lifting her head and looking back down at the parchment. "Also know that I love you, and that where you are is where you were always meant to be. I am sorry. The history you know, the history you were taught, is not the full truth. Much was kept from you. Much I suspect you have already begun to question. You never were one to blindly believe what you were told, but you were always loyal to leave it alone. Something we asked you not to investigate, if we told you that the knowledge would cause harm to the dragons. I am sorry we used that against you. We had to keep you from learning truths that you could not know right now. I know you are confused, and likely those you now find yourself in the company of are also confused. Know that we had no choice in this. I had no choice in this. to safeguard everything the way it had to be done this way. You will now find out the full truth of the Riders' bond, and learn some of the reasons why the one you call Liege Lord is how he is. Listen to the dragons you have just met. They have much to tell everyone. The parchment fell onto the journal. Hiccup quietly picked up his new nephew. The hatchling grunted and hissed in protest, but Hiccup gave a soft murmur. His nephew calmed and tugged against his side, laying along his right arm as he moved around and knelt in front of Gyda. The mage still had her head bowed. Hiccup shared a glance with Astrid. She glanced down at the parchment, and Hiccup looked down too. The writing was not Norse, and he could not make anything out. He did notice it was longer than what Gyda had read, the words filling the entire parchment in small, concise lines. Hiccup could not read it, but he could count, and knew there were more lines than she had not read aloud. Hiccup's gaze lifted. He would not push to know the rest of it. That was something personal to his friend. Right now, he had to ensure she was okay. "Gyda," he said softly. "Gyda, please look at me." Gyda lifted her head. Hiccup grimaced. He recognized the lost look in her eyes. He had felt the same many times while growing up. He felt it when Gyda told them his mother was still alive. He held out his left hand. Gyda frowned at him. Hiccup smiled softly. Astrid lifted Gyda's unresisting hand and placed it upon Hiccup's palm. She then laid her hands over the top of Gyda's. Hiccup heard shuffling, and soon snotlouts, fish legs, ruff and tufts rested upon Astrid's. Hiccup stared at Gyda, over and through the arms. "No matter what, we are flock now," he said. "No matter what comes, we will face it together." He smiled as the Berkian nest dragons echoed his words. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Poor Gyda! Imagine your whole family lying to you like that. Good lord. Not fun. And again, this whole part of the arc really confuses me, so I'll get frustrated with this. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Bye!